Hello, can everyone in the back hear me okay? Incredible. Good morning, everyone. My name is Erin Ye, and I'm the president of Model United Nations at UCLA. To those of you joining us in person at our largest opening ceremony since 2016, and to those of you joining us online for our second ever hybrid BruinMUN, we are ecstatic to welcome you to BruinMUN 2022. Over the past 7 months, our staff and secretariat have worked tirelessly to organize this conference, our largest BruinMUN ever, with over 1,700 delegates joining us online and in person this year. Whether you're joining us from your bedroom, or you took the lovely trek up or down the 405, or the short drive from the Palomar Hotel, thank you for joining us at BruinMUN for our 30th iteration. When I joined Model UN almost 8 years ago, I was immediately enthralled by the process of understanding a topic and developing solutions to be presented in an engaging manner. I spoke with our staff recently on the nature of topics that we discuss across the board at BruinMUN. These are pressing issues of current and historical events that we empower middle and high schoolers to address. By fostering this kind of problem solving and encouraging this diplomacy and collaboration that is so vital to what Model United Nations is, we are providing an arena to exercise effective communication and thoughtful decision-making. The next generation of productive and conscientious leaders are here on campus this weekend, and I hope that by the end of it, you all appreciate the work that is contributing to their success. But at the end of the day, Model UN is more than just the time we take out of our weekends to debate. It's more than viewing crises from different perspectives, and it's more than the directives and resolutions that you'll pass this weekend. I had the opportunity to attend BruinMUN once during my time in high school, and in the past 4 years of staffing and serving on secretariat for this conference, I've truly developed an appreciation for what we're able to do, even though it's taken me some time to figure out exactly what that is. But in my 5th and final BruinMUN, I'll let you in on a little secret. The people around you right now, the people sitting beside you in committee, and the people you'll see all throughout Zoom and Westwood Village this weekend have one thing in common: an unwavering desire to do Model UN. And that in itself makes what we do produce such a formidable and supportive community. And for one weekend each year, we get to show you a glimpse of our community here at MUN at UCLA. While the actual motions of debate, the competitive environment, and the Westwood weather are all selling points, I truly hope that this community is one of the reasons you continue to return to BruinMUN for years to come. This year's Secretary General, Brian Wolf, has played a pivotal role in building this community and ensuring every delegate feels the level of support that we all hope to have when the first motion to open debate is taken into order. Brian has been an incredible leader and friend in our organization and has poured countless hours into making this year's BruinMUN the best one yet. I am incredibly honored to have worked with him over the past 7 months in preparing for this conference. So, without further ado, I would like to turn the microphone over to this year's BruinMUN 2022 Secretary General, Brian Wolf. Please clap.
Thank you, Erin, for that introduction. Good morning, honorable delegates and advisors, and welcome to BruinMUN 2022. My name is Brian Wolf, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to serve as the Secretary General for this year's conference. As we celebrate 30 years of BruinMUN, I look forward to witnessing the hard work and debate put forth by delegates this weekend. Looking back on the past year, I'm amazed by the immense amount of work and collaboration needed to put on a two-day event. All this truly would not have been possible without the entire conference secretariat and staff. To Aaron, our president, thank you for managing the many crises that came up without batting an eye. To our Director General, Hazel, thank you for printing and reprinting all of the delegation materials that we needed and using half of your apartment for storage. BruinMUN also would not have been possible without the dynamic duo of our Director of Finance, Jonah, and Director of External Relations, Trinity. From answering over 1,000 emails to processing allocations, your efforts do not go unnoticed. To the four Undersecretary Generals seated on the stage here, Cameron, Veronica, Vladim, and Raghu, thank you for the long meetings, preparing trainings, and your positive attitude that radiates across all staff. To Pradium, our Director of Tech, and Callie, our Director of Marketing, thank you for responding to my never-ending requests and your creativity. And finally, to the incredible staff, some of who are seated here today, thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to support delegates this weekend. Your passion and dedication towards this conference speaks volumes. And it has been incredible working with you these past few months. This year, we are pleased to welcome the largest number of delegates, over 1,700 in fact, representing over 100 schools. Whether this is your very first conference or you have attended MUN conferences for as long as you can remember, BruinMUN is dedicated to you. To all of the new schools attending this year, welcome, and we thank you for traveling near and far. To the advisors and parents representing all schools, I sincerely thank you for your tireless efforts training and guiding your students to the UCLA campus this weekend. Model UN is a unique extracurricular that seeks to empower and educate those that participate in it. Your efforts to train and guide your delegates pays dividends to their futures. 7 years ago, wow, I'm aging myself, I sat towards the back of this very room as a sophomore in high school, having joined my school's brand new Model UN team just 2 weeks before. Despite being thrown into a novice crisis committee, having little idea of knowing what I was doing, I still recall that committee fondly. Little did I know, in my final year of MUN, I would end up on this stage, delivering this speech, overseeing the very first conference I attended. It is my hope as Secretary General that this conference can create an environment where delegates feel encouraged yet challenged to embrace new environments and develop as confident and motivated leaders. As we begin debate in just under 1 hour, I ask that each consider ways to step out of our comfort zones and find ways to grow this weekend. Give a speech, even if you feel a little bit nervous. Raise your placard and propose your creative idea. Collaborate with others you wouldn't expect. With the ever-growing list of global problems ahead, including climate change, international war, and an evolving economy, our world will need future leaders, many of whom are seated in this room or joining us online. Leaders are those that take on risks, raise their voices, and think critically to embark on positive change that our world needs. Some of our world's most influential leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, and Malala Yousafzai, step out of their comfort zones, delivering speeches, leading nonviolent protest movements, and advocating for marginal groups to improve our society. This weekend, I ask that you consider the topics of your committee in the context of our present world and challenge you to leave this weekend with a motivation to act. Now, I would like to turn the stage over to our keynote speaker for BruinMUN 2022, Professor Alex Wang. Professor Wang is a current UCLA Law School professor, as well as faculty co-director of the Emmett Institute on Climate Change and the Environment. His research focuses on climate change and policy, with an emphasis on policy in China. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Professor Alex Wang.
Good morning. This is such an impressive event. Congratulations to the organizers and to all the delegates. It's an honor to be here this morning. As Brian explained, I'm a professor at the law school here, and I also am a co-director of our Climate Institute at the law school. And it's absolutely wonderful and exciting to see so much energy and intellect in this room to think about critical international challenges. We meet this weekend just as the annual UN climate conference is going on in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. It's known as the Conference of the Parties, COP27. I'm sure some of you are working on climate issues. I've been to the COPs over the years in Bali, in Copenhagen, in Paris, and Madrid, and have seen firsthand how the international community attempts to grapple with one of the central problems of our times, for better or for worse. And by saying for better or for worse, I mean that I've seen both the promise and the limitations of international organizations over the years. In the area of climate change, it's been almost 30 years since the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change entered into force in 1994. And we have to ask ourselves, what have we done in those 30 years? Have we as an international community solved the problem of climate change? Not even close, right? We have experienced many frustrations along the way. The Kyoto Protocol, which set binding targets for developed countries and more limited obligations for developing countries, did little to slow carbon emissions. The Copenhagen negotiations in 2009, which I attended, famously collapsed with little done, with China getting the lion's share of the blame for blocking global agreement. And the need for consensus at these meetings, the ability of even one country to scuttle an agreement can be frustrating and often leave us feeling hopeless. And the fact that some 70% of global emissions come from just 10 countries has caused many people to wonder if smaller groups or clubs of negotiating groups would be better to solve the problems of collective action and to improve the efficiency of international negotiations. And just one more thing, I don't want to be too dark, but when you're part of these negotiations, you can feel that the endless wordsmithing and the debates over the placement of commas and periods can feel out of step with the severity and the urgency of the problem that we see more clearly and viscerally every day. These days we're seeing the impacts of wildfires, droughts, extreme heat, and the world is literally burning as we argue over the details. But so those are some of the frustrations, but at the same time, we've seen a lot of progress. I think at my age now, working on these issues over the decades, you've seen that progress is possible through all of the details, all the committees, all of the meetings and the discussion. Things can move forward. The global community consummated the Paris Agreement in 2015, which organizes our climate action today. As a result, oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, no problem. As a result, the countries of the world have put forth plans to tackle climate change and have oriented their action around long-term targets to achieve carbon neutrality. The US and the EU have announced targets for 2050, China by 2060, and so on. As another example, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the so-called IPCC, which is the UN body created to assess the science on climate change, has played a critical role in informing the world about climate change, letting us know what's happening, letting us know the state of the science, and pushing back against the incredible amounts of misinformation that have been put out by the fossil fuel industry and others. Let's not forget that the international meetings are really an essential forum for grappling with the responsibilities of the large developed countries that have been the main cause of climate change, to talk about what is owed in terms of funding or technical support or compensation to the developing countries of the world that are bearing the brunt of climate change. Think of the island nations that will be submerged, or think of the massive flooding in Pakistan that has received so little attention in the Western media. These dynamics go under the technical term of common but differentiated responsibilities, but behind that concept, the practical implications of the concept could not be more important to millions, if not billions, of people around the world. And lastly, I would be remiss if I did not mention the issue of China's growing role in the international community. This is my main area of research. I teach about Chinese law and politics at UCLA. And the UN negotiations are one of the main forums for hashing out the various tensions and conflicts that are coming to the fore because of China's rise on the global scene. And since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the late 1980s, this was when I was coming out of high school, we've arguably lived in a relatively unipolar world, with the US on top and the rest of the world living in the global community dominated by the US. But in the last 10 or 15 years or so, we've seen China's rise as a rival to US power. And the US has presented itself as the defender of a rules-based international order, one that it created. or led the creation of, whereas China is attempting to reshape that global order in a way that better suits its own interests. At the same time, China is also making the case that this revised international order will be better for other countries as well, particularly those in the global south. So whether this competition between China and the US will lead to better or worse outcomes for the world remains to be seen. These are the types of issues that you, in your future careers, will navigate and help us to resolve. So in conclusion, let's return to where we are this morning. We're here with this massive gathering, this impressive gathering. For all of you, you've taken your precious time over a weekend to come here to UCLA to engage in these model UN exercises. Maybe you're here for the fun of it, or maybe because you think that you thought it might look good on your college applications, maybe. But make no mistake, I think what you're doing substantively could not be more important. I think you're thinking about the big issues that we're grappling with every day. The generations ahead of you have not by any means solved these issues. And before you know it, these issues which were not of your making, will be in your hands to help resolve. So I think the types of conversations you'll be having this weekend will shape the future of how we address global concerns. You'll come up with new framings, new ideas, new solutions, new concepts that our generation has never even thought of. So I think in a few short years, many of you who were here sort of doing exercises on international negotiations will be grappling with these issues in real life. And we need your energy, your skill, and your intellect out there to help us solve these problems. So thank you again for your time this morning, and let's all get to work.
Thank you so much, Alex. We have a little gift to present to you. Vladim, if you want to head that over. Also, apologies for the technical issues. Let me just get it reset up here. All right, yeah, please bear with us. This is our first in-person opening ceremony in like 2-3 years. So yeah, we're all getting back into this. All right, perfect. All right, well, so before we get started with committee dismissal, I do have a few announcements for us. So the first is this year's conference charity is the California Fire Foundation. This is a 501c3 nonprofit that serves all of California, including wildfire victims, first responders, as well as the communities that wildfires impact. So very aligned with Alex's work in climate change. So there are several ways that you can support our conference charity. The best way to do that is to purchase candygrams. These are for sale for $3 at our delegate services table, which is located outside Kaplan Hall on the south side. These are notes that you can send to fellow delegates, fellow friends in different committees, with a little treat. So yeah, you can purchase those during lunch and during breaks at the delegate services table. In addition, your chairs will be announcing this more in committee, but there are committee incentives where you can donate money and your chair and dais will do something fun. So I definitely encourage you to support this charity, especially given the ever-growing need for responding to wildfires in our state. Next, we also have conference merchandise available. So if you want to take home some BruinMUN swag, we have t-shirts and tote bags also available for purchase at the delegate services table. This is also available during lunch, so definitely encourage you to check it out. We also have stickers for sale, so if you want to decorate your laptops or anything fun, that is a great option as well. Some announcements for the conference. So first, our greatest resource is our website, which is BruinMUN.org. There are 2 different pages on there. One is for delegates, which is BruinMUN.org/delegates. You can also scan the QR code found on the back of your conference program. There you'll find a lot of great resources, including our BruinMUN food guide, which has discounts to restaurants located in Westwood. So during lunch, if you're looking for boba, tacos, or anything else, we definitely encourage you to use those discounts. In addition, we have delegate services, like I mentioned, so if you lose anything or need any like Band-Aids, first aid, those are available at delegate services, again, south side of Kaplan Hall. For advisors, it is BruinMUN.org/advisors. That page is password protected, and the password was provided to you in your advisor folder at check-in. In addition, we recommend that you follow us on social media at UCLA-MUN on Instagram. We'll be posting conference updates and schedules, as well as story highlights throughout the weekend. Here's the conference schedule behind me. In addition, it is on your program. So as a few notes on this, first is that lunch committee dismissals will be staggered by 15 minutes. Your chair will announce your lunch dismissal and return time at the beginning of this session, as well as for tomorrow, so do keep that in mind. In addition, we have a head delegate workshop scheduled this weekend for student leaders in Model UN after the second committee session today. That will be in Dodd Hall, room 121 from 5:15 to 5:45. And for our online delegates, our online Zoom links are available on our homepage. You can go to bruinmun.org/zoom-links. If there are any errors or technical difficulties with the links, we will make that clear on the website, and a new link will be posted there accordingly. If at any point during the weekend you have experienced technical difficulties, please email your committee chair or join the advisor Zoom room, and we will be able to help assist you during the weekend. And with that, we will begin committee dismissal. So how this will work is we have dais staffers for each committee, and they are all holding a sign. So when we call off your committee, please remain seated until your committee is called. When your committee is called, you will proceed, if that is your committee, towards the back exit and gather up with your committee.